Hello and welcome to SEC Basketball Predictions. I'm your host, Chris Lee, joined by Blake Lovell and Max Barr. Today we'll be talking about Auburn's trip to Georgia. You can catch that noon on the SEC Network in the Stegeman Coliseum, Athens, Georgia. Max Barr starts us off. Auburn with a big performance without Janai Broome. Responds in impressive fashion, and they beat down on Mississippi State. And on the other hand, Georgia went to Tennessee, played a competitive first half, fell apart for the Bulldogs early. What are you seeing as important in this matchup here?
Well, first and foremost, what I'm seeing is for maybe the first time since Duke, I'm seeing Auburn fans say, hey, guys, we got to come prepared as we have been all season. This is a team we cannot take lightly. I'm worried about this one. It's the first time in a few games I've really seen Auburn fans really saying like, hey, going into this one, this is one to circle, and for good reason, because this is a Georgia team that I just think maybe not offensive firepower wise can match up with Auburn, but physicality wise, size wise, Georgia can most certainly match up here.
Well, I would agree with that because we know the common theme for Georgia, not just in the past two games, is that they get to the free throw line. They're top 30 in the country in free throw attempts per game. They're averaging 24 a game. Unfortunately for Auburn, maybe, they're averaging way above that 24 a game the last two games, and that was against Kentucky and Oklahoma. I think they shot 38 and 37, respectively, in those two games. So now you're Auburn going on the road to play this team. And just for the record, let's keep going here. Georgia shot 31 against South Carolina State, the home game before that. They only shot 14 the game before that. So the streak is going here at 31 or more in three straight home games. And meanwhile, Auburn is 250th nationally in fouls per game. So if you look at it from that standpoint, that I think is going to be the story of this game, is that's the exact number you're looking at going in to say, can Auburn keep Georgia off the free throw line because they've done such a good job of getting there? And that makes the game a lot easier when you get to the free throw line and get, easy buckets, get the other team in foul trouble, those kind of things. So I think that's the clear storyline heading into this one, minus the fact that, we know Broome's not playing in this one either. So
Ken Pomeroy has got this as a 10-point spread in Auburn's favor. And in these cases, when it's double digits, what we usually spend our time doing is a little more time on why the underdog can win, because you probably know the reasons the favorite can win. And Blake just hit on one of the big things. The other thing is kind of within that, Asa Newell. Not a guy that everybody's got. Auburn does not have Janai Broome. Now, look, Auburn has got dudes underneath. Dylan Cardwell, those guys. This is a tough-minded team. But I'm thinking if we come out of this Saturday afternoon, there's been an upset. Asa Newell will be a big part of why it happened, Max.
Yeah, and as strong as the Auburn front court has been this year, the past few games, the opponent has won that battle. Just let up 20 offensive rebounds to Mississippi State, and the game before that, it was the Colin Murray Boyles and Nick Pringle show until things turned around in the second half. So I think you're going to be looking at a Somto Cyril, Asa Newell, RJ Godfrey front court that's going to be saying, guys, we can play our game here. Look at what the past two teams just did. Okay, so there's another angle that supports Georgia. One thing, a few things, though, actually, that support Auburn here. Guys, I didn't know how crazy this was, okay? How many times has an opponent this year, and you got to think about the teams that Auburn has played, how many times has an opponent scored double-digit threes on Auburn this year? Pop quiz.
Not many.
0.
Wow.
They have not allowed double-digit threes once this season. They've played Purdue. They've played Iowa State.
This isn't going to be the team to do it. I'm just
no.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, right?
No.
Okay. So this is an Auburn defense that has not let it happen all year. I would be shocked if they let it happen against this Georgia perimeter that has not shot 30% in any of their SEC games last year. So that's one thing that really leans into Auburn's favor defensively is they kind of force you into a one-dimensional, two-dimensional offense, I guess.
Well, I say this isn't going to be the team to do it. You know what's going to happen. They're going to come out and shoot 15 and make 14 of them, and Auburn fans are going to be on me about that. But, I mean, look, the percentages tell us this will not be the team that should be able to break that streak for Auburn, right? And from that standpoint, as you said, Max, like I think that's where we are going to get a lot of plays at the rim in this game. And you could absolutely see it being one of those games where there are a lot of free throws shot in this one. Even though, again, Auburn's just kind of a team that only gets 16% of their free throws from the line. And so from Georgia's standpoint, I think that's the clearest matchup like there is. Like, it is all about that. It is just, can Auburn stop Georgia inside the arc without fouling and keep them off the line? If they do that, I think Auburn will be just fine. But then I think it goes back to the story we talked about against Mississippi State. It is the balance scoring that Auburn has, even without Broome. And we talked about the Evan Mia numbers and all that. And actually, they've been updated now, and they're so fascinating. So if you look at, Evan's player ratings in the BPR, we said Auburn had 7 of the top 20 players. I think, actually, that Miles Kelly and Pettiford have moved just outside the top 20 now. So they're in the top 24. But here's what's interesting. Auburn now has 3 of the top 4 BPR offensive rated players in Evans' metrics here. Jeez. Broome is number 1. Number 3 is now Baker Mazzara, as Zakai Ziegler jumped him for number 2. But guess who number 4 is? It's Dylan Cardwell. Guess who number 7 is? It's Chaney Johnson. Denver Jones is 17. So they're going to move around quite a bit based on offensive performances, from other people too. And so I just keep going back to that. I'm like, this is a game where if Auburn's going to win it on the road against a good team, I know Georgia didn't play great at Tennessee, but spoiler alert, not many teams do. It's going to be about that. It's going to be, can you get that same offensive rhythm you've had all season long? And, it's a road game, right? So maybe there's a few shots that aren't falling, those kind of things. I think that's where it's going to be all about Cardwell and Chaney Johnson here. Offensive rebounding opportunities, those kind of things. Auburn has shot it so well to this point. And I just think it's a game of matchups. And I look at it from this standpoint, and I'm like, I think Auburn's probably going to get what they want, even against a good Georgia defensive team. It's just, can they kind of do their thing defensively and just kind of shut down a Georgia team that, again, offensively, I think still leaves a bit to be desired.
One more thing I wanted to mention before we'll either jump into picks or you guys can bring up something else of consequence, but Georgia 11-0 at Stegeman Coliseum this year, 3-3 in other buildings. Now, it has not been a murderer's row of scheduling there, but have been some nice wins. Oklahoma, of course, the 13-point win over Kentucky, a decent win over Notre Dame. So there is a little bit of history here of Georgia putting up some nice wins in that building. And credit to Mike White. He has really revitalized Stegeman Coliseum, just one of the more dead environments in the SEC year in and year out. I'm seeing fans and some excitement in the building. Max Barr, I'm going to turn it to you to either start us with picks or give us another topic to talk about.
No, I can start off here with picks, but I'll give a little bit of reasoning. So this is going to be Auburn's 4th true road game of their season. They've played a few semi away. They got the huge Houston win. They got the neutral 3 in a row. Iowa State to kick that one off was the biggest one of that stint. So they've been tested away from home. However, in the true road games where it's like we are playing at the opposing gym, not just the opposing city, 6-point loss to Duke, no shame, absolutely no shame. Mm-hmm. 5-point win against Texas, 3-point win against South Carolina. That's their 3 true road games. So if you're telling me that all the analytics sites are projecting a spread around 10 points, well, hey, that is a bit steep. That's a bit large for a team that with Janai Broome, it will for obviously the half of South Carolina, but they were losing at halftime. They have not covered that spread on the road so far. And then another angle, honestly, that leans me towards Georgia is if you look at Texas A&M and what they did in the first game without Wade Taylor. Everyone steps up big time. They go on the road. They beat Oklahoma. Zurich Phelps just has his best offensive game of the year. The next game, after you got a full game of film with that team, Alabama goes in and beats up on A&M. Now there's a full game of film of Auburn with no Broom that Georgia has to look at and get their defense ready. I'm going to pick Auburn here to win, but I'm telling you, this has all the makings of like an overtime game. Like this,
Yeah.
I feel like a 10-point spread would be disrespectful to Georgia at home here.
Yeah, I can see how it could happen. I could see it because we had two double-digit road dogs already, and in this case, Georgia's a home team, get wins in this league. You had better show up every night. That said, I need to see Georgia's guards perform bigger on a bigger stage. They've got some good players, Silas Demery, Tyron Lawrence, Blue Kane. All those guys have given them something at some time. This, though, feels to me like a game where Tahad Pettiford just blows up. We've seen him do it on this stage. Miles Kelly, hits 30-foot threes sometimes. He's really come alive in Bruce Pearl's offense and taken his game up a year and after transferring from Georgia Tech. I just trust Auburn's guards to get more buckets in this game. This is a tough-minded team. It has been tested in every circumstance imaginable that you can get in the regular season. Give me Auburn for that reason.
Well, we're in a picks contest here. All of a sudden, we're all tied. So I can either do the bold thing and pick against you and try to find the upset, or I can pick the team that will be favored in this game. And I think there's a difference in playing against South Carolina on the road, sort of in shock mode after losing your best player during the game, versus now having a game under your belt where you beat a great team at home in a blowout, and then now going and playing a team that certainly got its confidence rattled a bit, I think, at Tennessee. And I know, like, we can say, well, Georgia did that at Ole Miss too, right? And look what happened after that. They came back. They won 2 really good home games. But I just think, again, like, I don't see the reason to pick against Auburn yet until they give me a reason to. And they've not given me a reason to yet. Everybody said it, well, the reason is that they don't have Broom. Well, I've now seen them without Broom, and they look pretty good to me. So while I agree with Max that I think this is a very tricky game based on, the numbers I mentioned, right? If Auburn fouls too much, if they get in foul trouble, especially in the front court, what does that look like in a game like this? Georgia could absolutely get there 35-plus times again at the free throw line.
Yeah.
If that happens, then I think that's a problem. But it's like, how can I pick against the number one team in the country that still look like the number one team in the country, even without the best player in the country, several days ago. So Auburn's won 3 straight in this series. None of them have really been close. 14, 21, and 21. This is a better Georgia team than they played in that stretch. And they've lost a couple games in Athens, during Bruce Pearl's tenure there, 76-64 in 2023. 2020, they lost 65-55. It was 2017 they lost, but I'm picking Auburn here. I understand. I think there is a formula there for Georgia to pull the upset, and it may be the thing I said where, come on, this isn't going to be the team to knock down double-digit threes, right? If Georgia comes out hitting shots early, they start 4-7 from 3 or something in the first 6 minutes of the game, Auburn may be in trouble. But I can't bank on that with the percentages that I've seen. And so give me the Tigers here in this one.
Yeah, Blake makes a good point. I do think there's a level of performance for Georgia's guards offensively above what we've seen, but I'm just not sure this is the game to forecast it. We'll see. We will take our lumps if Georgia wins. We'll talk about it if Auburn wins. But either way, we'll be here for you to talk SEC basketball. Hope you will tune in to listen to us. You can do that by hitting the subscribe button, which is free. And if you enable your notifications, you know when we've got content coming up. Thanks for watching our SEC basketball content here at Southeastern 16. For Max Barr and Blake Lovell, I'm Chris Lee. God bless you. We'll see you again soon with more hoops coverage here at the channel.